First of all, I know the history behind the WNBA. I know that both of those cities have had teams before and they got us where we're at, so I'm thinking.
Some WNBA players arrive, carry out their responsibilities, and then depart. Another woman who joined the most talked about women's basketball team is Sophie Cunningham. She immediately began throwing people to the ground, went viral overnight, and then sat down to share all of her secrets and what it's really like to play with the most controversial player in the world. What she revealed was not only surprising, but also completely refuted the narrative that most people had previously come to accept. To understand the relevance of any of this, you have to go back to January 31st, 2025. The day that changed in a way Sophie Cunningham probably could not have predicted. For 6 seasons, she had put in a lot of effort for the Phoenix Mercury, building a solid reputation as a fearless guard who could shoot lights out. She had been traded to the Indiana Fever, it was later learned. Not just any team, the Indiana Fever, who are home to Caitlin Clark, the most scrutinized athlete in women's sports, are surrounded by more cameras, controversy, and national attention than any WNBA team in history. The trade was also historic. A massive 10-team mega deal shocked the league. Cunningham did not receive a gentle introduction to her new environment. In the middle of a storm, she was left alone. And the events that followed revealed every facet of her actual character. Almost no one talks about this. In Indiana, Cunningham had a challenging start. Due to an ankle injury she had during the preseason, her debut was delayed until May 22nd. She had another ankle injury a week later, which prevented her from playing for 2 more weeks. Playing for a new city, a new coach, a new system, and new teammates, she was battling her body and attempting to find a rhythm. During those first few weeks, she struggled. Chemistry was lacking. No momentum was present. It was greatly doubted if this trade would be successful at all. But just before the All-Star break, something clicked. Cunningham not only recovered her rhythm but also took off after being added to the starting lineup. In 13 games as a starter, she averaged 11 2-points and shot over 51% from the field. She was perhaps the team's most prolific player at the time. Nothing in the 2025 WNBA season evoked a more direct response than what happened on June 17th. The Fever had found their enforcer, and she was only getting started. The whole game had been violent. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 83% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So, did you subscribe already? Great. Thank you so much for your support. Now, back to the video. And the Fever was hosting the Connecticut Sun. Sheldon stabbed Sunuard JC Caitlin Clark in the eye during the 3rd quarter. It was the kind of play that typically ends with a shrug and a free throw. But Sophie Cunningham did not shrug. A quarter later, she grabbed Sheldon and pulled her to the ground in front of everyone. The moment was lost as soon as they were evicted. Social media fell apart overnight. Cunningham gained hundreds of thousands of Instagram followers in a few short hours. Her TikTok following grew from 300,000 to over 2 million. She gained notoriety outside of basketball almost immediately. When she eventually discussed it in the public, she was direct. She also admitted that she had been fined roughly $900 by the league. "I will defend my teammates. I do that." She added that she had absolutely no regrets. It was more than just a viral video. At that same time, Sophie Cunningham's entire public character was transformed. The fallout from that disagreement became even more fascinating when Cunningham revealed what she shortly revealed on her brand new podcast, Show Me Something, which she founded with her childhood friend and reality TV star West Wilson. She didn't think twice. She admitted something that had been the focus of gossip for months. There were real conversations about how to handle Caitlin Clark during her first season in a locker room the year before, when she was still with the Phoenix Mercury. She confirmed many people's suspicions, but nobody wanted to express them. Cunningham claims that players in the league were deliberately focusing on Clark to make a point and show her what the W actually stands for. She said she understood it to some extent. That's how rookies are treated. But in Clark's case, it had gone much too far. "I'm like, what are people doing? It's just too much. I'm over it," Cunningham remarked after seeing it as a team member. "If I think it's too much, it's probably too much." Because she had actually been in those rooms, her words carried a distinct resonance. It wasn't a widely held belief. This was an acknowledgement. Cunningham's frequent disclosures on the podcast, which became a forum for captivated listeners. In one episode, she challenged those who questioned Caitlin Clark's impact on the league. She spoke carelessly. She didn't employ hedging. If you don't think Caitlin Clark is the face of the WNBA, or if you think the league wouldn't be where it is now without her, you're just plain incorrect, she added. And this is the closest thing to what she said. She made it clear that she wasn't making fun of other league players. She respected everyone. She did, however, find it unfathomable that Clark's contribution to the development of women's basketball was being disregarded, and it was hard to overlook. How direct her statement was. For a league that has been involved in an ongoing, intricate internal discussion about Clark's position and reception, hearing it firsthand from an experienced insider carried a lot of weight. And the internet's reaction was exactly what you would expect. Once again, the video went viral. The moment that fundamentally altered the tone of the narrative then arrived. Apart from the fights, podcasts, and viral events, Sophie Cunningham showed a whole different side of herself. She was properly mic'd up and her remarks were recorded as she offered to serve food to local families at the yearly Aaron Nesmouth charity dinner in November. "This is what we're here for. We're here for you," she added, turning to face a packed crowd. This is the part that struck a chord. She didn't have a contract. Her one-year contract with a Fever had already run out. She wasn't required to be there. She was not compensated. She simply arrived, rolled up her sleeves, and began serving. Fans of Fever went crazy. The moment's video went viral as quickly as the J.C. Sheldon battles. The team was urged to sign her for life by comment after comment. Even those who had never watched a WNBA game began to pay attention. This was the other half of Sophie Cunningham, a farm girl from Columbia, Missouri, who attributes all of her identity to a hard-working and devout upbringing. She then began discussing Caitlin Clark's off-court activities, and nearly everyone was taken aback by what she said. People had created the impression that Clark was virtually untouchable, a calm, polished superstar athlete who moves effortlessly through life. Cunningham totally destroyed that perception. She was asked about her favorite Clark anecdote during an appearance on the Like a Farmer podcast. Her response was so candid that it seemed as though she was revealing a secret. She claimed that Clark is just a regular person who genuinely enjoys basketball. Then she referred to her as a big old dork and called her. You don't know what to expect when you first meet someone who has so much attention following them around. She remarked, "You get ready." Instead, she discovered someone who was genuine, modest, and utterly silly. She claimed to adore Clark's entire aura and to be the biggest geek you'll ever meet. That description seemed to be the most human thing someone had ever said about Clark to millions of people who only see her through press conferences, endorsement deals, and highlights. The two of them's relationship off the court developed into its own narrative. Cunningham responded without hesitation 1,000% when asked which teammate she would least trust to manage her social media accounts, Caitlin Clark. Because Cunningham affectionately described Clark as a starter. This means that she would initiate drama. She would publish something and observe the mayhem. This was exactly in line with how these two communicate on social media. Their fan bases enjoy their frequent light-hearted jabs, inside jokes, and reciprocal trolling. Joking that they were Indiana Fever mermaids on their way to a game. Cunningham tweeted a video of himself and colleague Lexi Hull in swimsuit in August as a recruitment drive for bikini sponsors. Eventually, Cunningham's podcast also became aware of Clark. By the standards of these two's public communication, the Show Me Something account's response to a fan inquiring about a Clark appearance was simply soon. Beneath all of this enjoyment, however, was a season that went horribly wrong. By August, the Fever had become an almost unbelievable injury disaster. Due to a quad strain, bone bruise, and groin injury, Caitlin Clark only participated in 13 games throughout the season. Cunningham and Clark were among the 5 players that were ultimately declared out for the season. The crew was so short-staffed at one point that was eligible for an emergency hardship exception. Before Connecticut Sun guard Brienne January stumbled into Cunningham's leg on August 17th and tore her MCL, she had been playing. After that, surgery was performed. The season is over. Before the playoffs even began, the woman who had battled her way into a starting position averaged over 11 points per game as a starter, and grown to be one of the team's most cherished presences was gone. From the bench, She watched as the eventual champion Las Vegas Aces were forced to play 5 games in the semifinals by a completely destroyed Fever team. That team's tenacity was astounding. However, Cunningham must have found it painful to watch everything happen without her. The post-season events were nearly as fascinating as the season itself. Cunningham's one-year, $100,000 contract expired, making her an unrestricted free agent in a league where nothing was certain. The Players Association and the WNBA have reached a deadlock in their CBA negotiations. Furthermore, no one knew when free agency would formally commence or what the wage structure will be for the upcoming season. She joined with Project B, a brand new international 5-on-5 touring league that promised her more than $2 million a year, roughly 8 times the top WNBA wage at the time. Additionally, she started to expand her media presence in a way that demonstrated her ability to think beyond basketball. The sponsorship agreements, the podcast, and the social media brand. She was making a full-fledged public career out of the notoriety she had gained during a single season in Indiana. She continued to express her desire to return to the Fever throughout it all. She desired to play with Clark once more. In the middle of March 2026, the CBA was finally resolved. Oh, and her future in Indianapolis was finally within grasp when free agency opened. The figures by the end of 2025 revealed a narrative that no one could have predicted at the beginning of the year. Google's annual year-in search rankings plummeted and Sophie Cunningham placed at number 7 on the most searched athletes in the United States. There was no mention of Caitlin Clark, who had occupied the same position in 2024. In a sense, Cunningham had replaced her. When someone brought this up on her podcast, she responded in the same straightforward, non-performative manner that she does to nearly everything. She claimed that she was unsure of how to feel about it. She instantly attempted to explain Clark's absence, pointing out that Clark had only played 13 games this season, but she also said that it was kind of cool to be the only woman in the top 10. She wasn't bragging. She wasn't focusing on herself. Her teammate was on her mind more than anything she said over the year. That response revealed Sophie Cunningham's true nature off camera. And this is the current state of if the new CBA holds together. The 2026 WNBA season is scheduled to begin on May 8th. After leading Team USA in every significant statistical category and winning the MVP title at the FIA Women's World Cup qualification competition, Caitlin Clark is in perfect health. The Fever are getting ready for what should be their healthiest and most formidable roster in team history. And Sophie Cunningham, the woman who arrived in Indianapolis as a trade piece, turned into an enforcer, went viral, became a fan favorite in music, suffered an injury, created a media empire while recovering, and never stopped speaking her truth, is waiting to find out if she gets to return to the team that changed her life. The organization is being continuously pressured by fans to bring her back. According to reports, Clark has told the front desk how she feels about the issue. 2 new teams, Toronto and Portland, will join the league as a result of the expansion draft. And going into the new year, the Fever's roster choices are one of the most anticipated stories in all of women's basketball. One thing is certain, regardless of what comes next. Sophie Cunningham entered a room full of expectations, defied them all, and emerged stronger than before. She turned up to serve meals to strangers without a contract or responsibility, revealed the truth when no one asked for it, and stood up for her teammate when no one else would. It's not a brand. That's an individual. And that's precisely why people are unable to stop watching. Some WNBA players show up, perform their duties, and then leave. Then there's Sophie Cunningham, a woman who entered the most talked about women's basketball team, started throwing people to the ground right away, went viral overnight, and then sat down to reveal all the secrets she had been keeping to herself about what it's really like to play with the world's most divisive player. What she disclosed wasn't merely unexpected. It totally upended the narrative that the majority of people had previously come to believe. You must go back to January 31st, 2025, the day Sophie Cunningham's life transformed in a way she most likely never anticipated in order to comprehend why any of this matters. She had developed a reputation as a strong, dependable guard who could shoot the lights out and wasn't frightened of anything throughout her 6 seasons of hard work with the Phoenix Mercury. Then it was revealed that she had been traded to the Indiana Fever. Not just any team, but the Indiana Fever, home of Caitlin Clark, the most scrutinized athlete in women's sports with more cameras, controversy, and national attention than any WNBA club in history. Additionally, the industry itself was historic, a huge deal involving 10 teams that rocked the league. Cunningham was not introduced to her new world in a kind manner. In the midst of the storm, she was dropped, and what transpired next exposed every aspect of her true nature. This is something that almost anyone discusses. Cunningham had a difficult beginning in Indiana. Her debut was postponed until May 22 due to an ankle injury she sustained during the preseason. A week later, she sustained another ankle injury that kept her out of action for an additional 2 weeks. She was fighting her body and trying to establish a rhythm while playing for a new city, a new coach, a new system, and new teammates. She had difficulties during those initial weeks. There was a lack of chemistry. Please share your thoughts in the comment section. Subscribe and enable all notifications so you don't miss anything. We'll see you in the next one after you click the video on the screen. Please share your thoughts in the comment section, subscribe, and enable all notifications so you don't miss anything. We'll see you in the next one after you click the video on the screen.